welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're venturing into the really complex world of Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. It's so much more than just a classic novel, isn't it? It masterfully breaks down these fundamental tensions inside us.
Yeah, the human spirit stuff.
Exactly. That whole struggle between, our rational minds and our maybe innate capacity for faith.
Right, and how those forces shape our morality, our relationships, everything, really.
So Dostoevsky anchors all this deep exploration in the lives of the Karamazov brothers, right? Which are, well, tumultuous, to say the least.
That's putting it mildly. You've got Ivan, the intellectual, the skeptic.
The one questioning everything.
Then Alyosha, who's almost the opposite, full of faith, empathy.
The believer.
And then Dmitri, who's all passion, kind of caught in the middle and, wrapped up in this murder trial.
So our mission today in this deep dive is basically to pull out the most important insights.
Yeah, into those really complicated family dynamics and how these characters are just intensely grappling with belief, reason, their own morality.
We want to give everyone listening a kind of shortcut, maybe. A clear understanding of why this book, written so long ago in Russia, still hits so hard today.
Or for such potent insights, yeah, into being human.
Okay, so let's start with what feels like the main engine here. That stark contrast between faith and reason. You mentioned Ivan and Alyosha.
Right. They really embody those opposing poles.
Ivan's intellect seems to push him towards, well, profound doubt. How does Dostoevsky use him to show the limits, maybe, or the pitfalls of relying only on reason, especially next to Alyosha's fate?
That's a great question. I think through Ivan, Dostoevsky is exploring how reason on its own, powerful as it is, can lead to a kind of isolation.
Intellectual isolation.
Yeah, and maybe a rejection of certain inherent moral truths. Ivan's famous idea, if God doesn't exist, then everything is permitted.
Sure.
That really highlights the danger, doesn't it? How pure reason, if it's cut off from faith or some kind of universal morality, could potentially slide into nihilism.
And Alyosha offers a different way.
Completely. His path is grounded in faith, but specifically faith expressed through love and compassion. It gives him a different kind of understanding.
One that goes beyond just logic.
Exactly. It connects him to people, to humanity, on a much deeper level, maybe a more human level.
And this whole philosophical clash, it's not just happening in their heads, is it? It's tangled up with the really messy, dark reality of their family, their own issues.
Oh, absolutely not. You can't separate their ideas from their personal history.
Like their feelings about their father.
Exactly. The resentment towards Fyodor, their own inner demons. I mean, these aren't just abstract debates for them.
Take Dmitri, for example. His passion, his sort of entanglement in everything leading up to the murder.
Right. That shows perfectly how these big philosophical ideas actually play out in the chaos of raw human emotion, flawed choices.
And you also mentioned Smerdikov. He's lurking around too.
Yes, and he's fascinating. His evil feels different from Ivan's skepticism. Maybe less intellectual.
More base, or maybe just present.
Yeah, maybe just present. He's like this stark symbol of the destructive potential just sitting there in human nature. He really complicates that whole moral landscape of the family.
Which sort of leads us naturally to the big themes Dostoevsky's wrestling with here. He's definitely not afraid of the huge questions.
No kidding. The nature of evil, the existence of God, those incredibly tangled family ties.
Yeah. What's a key insight for you in how he weaves all that together? It's not like he's writing an essay.
No, definitely not. I think a central thing is how he uses the specifics of this one family, the Karamazovs, as a kind of microcosm.
To explore the universal stuff.
Exactly. And he doesn't give you neat little answers. He just throws you right into the mess, the complexities, the contradictions of being human.
So the question of evil, for instance, it's not abstract.
Not at all. You see it through what motivates the characters, what they actually do, and crucially, the consequences of those actions.
And same for the God question. It's lived, not just debated.
Precisely. It's lived through Alyosha's faith and Ivan's doubt. And you see how those beliefs, or lack thereof, shape how they respond to the suffering they see around them.
Now, a huge figure looming over all this, setting things in motion, seems to be the father, Fyodor Karamazov.
Oh, Fyodor. Yeah.
He feels like such a powerful example of how unchecked power, and maybe wealth too, can just corrupt. What does his character really tell us about that theme?
Fyodor really embodies that corrosive effect, doesn't he? Self-interest, a total lack of moral grounding, but the kind of thing that can fester when you have money and power and no accountability.
And his actions directly impact the sons.
Absolutely. His manipulation, his neglect, his just general awfulness creates this toxic environment. It's a breeding ground for resentment and ultimately for violence.
So he's like a walking illustration of how abusing power just devastates families.
Yeah, he contributes directly to the sort of moral decay you feel throughout the novel. He's a catalyst for so much of the bad stuff.
It really strikes me, though, that Dostoevsky isn't making it easy for us morally. The morality in this book feels incredibly layered. You don't really have simple heroes and villains, do you?
That's such a crucial point. He's a master at showing how fluid morality can be, how contradictory people are.
Even someone like Alyosha.
Even Alyosha, he strives for good, obviously, but he's tested. He has his own internal struggles.
And conversely, someone like Dmitri.
Yeah.
He's flawed, passionate, makes terrible choices.
But he also has this raw honesty, maybe, and a capacity for suffering and potentially for redemption down the line.
So Dostoevsky deliberately keeps it ambiguous.
Yes, I think so. It forces us, the readers, to look beyond easy judgment, to really grapple with how complex people are, how complex moral choices can be.
And that complexity just gets amplified by how he draws the family itself. It's so nuanced. It's not just shouting matches, is it?
No, not at all. There are these undercurrents of connection, even love, amidst all the hostility and jealousy between the brothers.
It feels very real.
It does, doesn't it? The relationships are incredibly realistic because they mix love, rivalry, deep-seated resentment. It's all in there.
You get these brief moments of like real tenderness or understanding.
Right, and then are immediately followed by intense conflict or suspicion.
That portrayal of family as this place of both connection and potential pain, it just resonates because it feels true to life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows how even the closest relationships can be incredibly complicated, full of contradictions.
Now, shifting gears slightly, when people talk about this book, one chapter always comes up: rebellion.
Ah, yes, rebellion.
It seems to hold this incredibly significant place. Why is that chapter seen as such a critical moment, such a turning point in the novel?
Rebellion is, well, it's often seen as the intellectual and emotional heart of the novel. The crucible, maybe. It's the chapter where Ivan just lays it all out. His powerful, deeply troubling rejection of a moral order, a divine plan, especially in the face of innocent suffering.
The suffering of children is key there, isn't it?
It's central to his argument. It's devastatingly effective. His arguments present this profound challenge to the whole idea of a good, benevolent God. It really lays bare his atheistic worldview.
But it's not just him calmly making points in a debate.
Oh, not at all. It's deeply personal. It's emotionally raw. It's like an indictment of the entire universe for allowing such pain.
So it's not just Ivan working through his ideas. It's causing him real inner turmoil. And it must have a huge impact on the others, especially Alyosha.
Precisely. Rebellion is this visceral outpouring of Ivan's moral agony, his emotional anguish.
And Alyosha has to listen to it all.
Yes, and his powerful arguments force Alyosha, who's the embodiment of faith, to confront these incredibly unsettling questions directly, head on.
Wow. So it's a massive moment where Ivan's intellectual rebellion has this huge emotional, spiritual impact.
Definitely. Not just on Alyosha, but it really shifts the whole trajectory of the story. It sets the stage for the drama, the moral reckonings that are coming.
And it feels like after that peak, that intensity of rebellion, the characters are really forced into confronting the consequences.
Yeah, the consequences of these ideas and also their own actions. Things really accelerate towards the climax then.
So rebellion is like a pivot point.
Absolutely. A critical turning point. It throws everyone's beliefs and values into really sharp relief.
And they have to deal with the fallout.
They have to grapple with the implications of their choices, yeah. Especially in a world where the very basis of morality has just been fundamentally questioned by Ivan.
The tension just ramps up from there.
It really does, as they navigate that whole complex web of relationships and events leading to Fyodor's death and the trial. It all gets very intense.
It's just amazing, isn't it, that these profound insights into us, into the human condition written so long ago, still feel so incredibly relevant.
It really is remarkable.
What do you think gives the Brothers Karamazov that enduring power? Why does it still speak to us now?
I think its lasting relevance comes down to its absolutely unflinching exploration of fundamental human questions.
Questions that don't really go away.
Exactly. They transcend time, culture, the struggle with faith and doubt. That's timeless.
The complexities of family relationships, still here.
The search for meaning in a world that often seems full of suffering, definitely still here. These are just enduring parts of being human.
And Dostoevsky just dives right in.
Right into the depths. And his genius is doing it with such incredible psychological insight, such dramatic power. He doesn't give answers, but he leaves us with questions.
Questions that keep resonating.
Yes, and keep provoking us to think about our own beliefs, our own moral responsibilities.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the Brothers Karamazov,
Oh,
we've really seen how Dostoevsky masterfully weaves together that intellectual fight reason versus faith with the raw, messy, often contradictory stuff of family life.
mm-hmm. And those huge, timeless, really challenging questions about good and evil and just what it means to be human.
Yeah.
We've sort of explored how the novel paints this picture of a world where moral choices are hardly ever simple,
Right. Rarely black and white.
where our own inner struggles are so deeply tied to our relationships with others.
And where that search for truth, for meaning, it's a journey, isn't it? A continuous one and often a really difficult one.
Definitely an arduous journey.
Okay, so that leaves us with maybe one final question for everyone listening. Thinking about that intense push and pull between intellectual doubt, like Ivan's, and that deep yearning for faith, maybe like Alyosha's, that we see so powerfully in the Brothers Karamazov. How do you see those same forces playing out today? How do they shape individual beliefs and moral choices in our own really complex, often pretty uncertain world?
That's a great question to ponder.
It's definitely something worth thinking about long after we finish talking today.